Welcome back to Detroit's Morning Answer with John Anthony. A Charlie Kirk vigil in Windsor, Ontario. We know that Charlie Kirk had a worldwide influence. We know that right before, I said last night when I was speaking to the folks in Livonia, that the week before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the people of Seoul, Korea, prayed for him. It was if you haven't seen the video, you have to go and watch it. It's on X. Just put in Charlie Kirk being prayed in Seoul, Korea, and it was such a magnificent night that they prayed for him. I believe it was 7 or 8 days before he was assassinated. And John Gallagher, our station manager, sent me an email. He goes, "Hey, get in contact with these people." And I was like, I read the email, and I'm like, whoa. A vigil for Charlie Kirk in Windsor, Ontario. So I contacted the first individual. I'll just say Elliot. I don't want to give his last name. Elliot then connected me with Sherry. Sherry is part of a huge group of freedom fighters. That's how I describe it as I read through. They are freedom fighters in Canada. And it just warmed my heart. And so Sherry then connected me to our next guest, Jay Palko. Jay, welcome to Detroit's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, John. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well. It was such a good time talking with you on yesterday, and I'm so glad that we decided to have you on today.
Yeah, same here. I really appreciate you having us on and letting us, promote this event, so to speak. It's something that is really near and dear to us.
Yeah, give us the origin story. Yeah, Jay, give us the origin story. How when did the idea for now? You guys are just doing this in Windsor, Ontario. Is there a cross-border event as well that you guys are associated with that's going to happen in Detroit as well?
Yes, that's exactly how we'd like to have it happen. So we'll be in Dieppe Gardens at Windsor, and we also the idea was to have it also be in unison with Detroit at Hart Plaza. So we are looking for somebody to help organize that, bringing that together. Sherry Jones, she's the organizer who called me to help out. And so she's the one who people can contact. I can give her email real quick if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So Sherry Jones, SherryJones 70. That's just 70 at hotmail.com. So Sherry Jones 70 at hotmail.com. Sherry with 2 R's. But yeah, people can contact her. If anybody in Detroit could help us bring that together, we'd like to have it be in unison, with Detroit, so that we can stand together across the river. That'd be great.
Now, there's also a Facebook page that people can go to, correct, as well, too, and join and pose questions there too, right?
There is Turning Point. Yes, we do have Turning Point. Yep, and that can be can use that as well. And yeah, definitely people can go there and ask questions and be part of the conversation.
What did Charlie Kirk mean to Canadians? How did he impact Canadians and yourself as well?
Well, I think a lot of people that work on this right now at Turning Point Windsor, these are young guys, young men. There's young women as well, but across all ages, of course. But I think Charlie had a real soft spot for youth and young adults. And I heard that even through a dad recently, I know through a church, and he didn't even know his kids were so dialed into what Charlie was saying. And I think Charlie means a whole lot to all generations. I mean, he spoke the truth as a Christian. I resonated with his faith. That's what mattered. Yeah. I think what he said mattered most to him, and I understand that, and that's why I wanted to be a part of this event, to speak and to be the MC and to help co-organize with Sherry, and then but also Lady Patsy. She's another very active lady in the area in terms of these types of events, and they really want to take action in these kind of ways. But Charlie, though, I think it's that truth that comes out of his faith, and truly the indwelling of the Holy Spirit and how he speaks through people. I think that's why people latched onto him. And to me, truth and freedom have no borders. And Charlie reached people in Canada like he does in the U.S. and around the world because his message rings true for everyone. And so it hits the youth here. Definitely, I think there's a really good message that he's given to the youth. That's that's so greatly important, but really across all generations in Canada, people definitely, they're refreshed by what he was saying. It's encouraging and hopeful to hear what he's saying because he's speaking the truth and he's speaking it out. It's biblically based. The guy was so grounded in what he said and what he did. And people I think they were naturally attracted to that. And of course we have, there are people who are, we'll say the opposition, so to speak, in the U.S. We have that in Canada too, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But that's all part of the conversation. And like Charlie said, when the talking stops, the violence starts, and we believe that we need to talk more.
In America, we have the First Amendment. We have a Bill of Rights. What protects you guys out there in Canada, in Ontario, and Windsor, Ontario? Do you guys have what we have here in the First Amendment right? Because I know, I remember the pastor that was there who was arrested, Pawlowski, I believe, or something like that. I had him on I had him on my radio show, Black and Right.
Oh, yeah.
And First Amendment is a huge issue in Canada, correct? Are you guys concerned?
Not so much called that, but yeah, we have our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and some would say, let's go, we need to reference more the Bill of Rights. They believe it's stronger language, but the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is entrenched in our 1982 Constitution Act, and that is what we lean on is the Charter. That's what's used in courts as federal law, and that's where our rights are. So technically it's called freedom of expression in Canada, but it's the same idea that we have freedom of speech also, and so that is definitely something that we have recently, as you know, in recent years have had to fight for ourselves. And Sherry was a part of that, a big part of it, and an organizer, and it's an ongoing concern here in Canada, considering how our governments operate and what they think is good governance, which I believe completely contradicts what the Bible would say is good governance in a lot of ways. But yeah, so we are similar in what you have in your Constitution. And the way I look at it too is just that rights and freedoms, like I was saying, knows no borders. People have inalienable rights that are God given. They're not state given. So the idea that these statists can tell us as if they're the ones who are the authority who give us these rights and freedoms. And I think, Charlie did and messaged that so well and spoke that so well in so many different ways about our rights and freedoms, but also he spoke to so many topics in politics in such a skilled way. He was gifted. Like God gifted him with that to speak in that way. And he did it in such an impressive manner, and people just couldn't help but follow him. I mean, the follow and how that has exploded since the tragic day of his death, and how that has exploded in terms of all the following and this outpouring of compassion and hope and action.
Yeah, Jay Palko, as it relates to safety and security, what coordination is in place with Windsor Police for safety, traffic control, and how are you communicating the code of conduct to attendees?
Good question. So, yeah, we are typically, with these events, in contact with the Windsor Police. So if they haven't already seen it and prepared for it, we will definitely make sure that they're set up to attend and be there, which they typically have. When we've had larger events like this, they're there on site and keeping the order in the area. But we will also have the space to ourselves, and when I've attended events there in the past as well, you'll have the so-called counter-protesters or opposition, people who are kind of on the perimeter. But as far as the crowd goes, we will be watching each other's backs. We will have our own security there as well, people who are being watchful and ensuring that this remains respectful and peaceful. But we will have the police on notice, and they will be there in attendance.
Yeah, Jay Palko, what single value of Charlie Kirk's do you want front and center on Tuesday night? If you had to choose one word that captures the evening, what is it and why?
Well, I would use the word that Charlie used. He said the most important thing to him and what he wants his legacy to be is his faith.
Yeah.
So I would say faith. Now, one thing I'll say, and I'll be mentioning this on Tuesday night, is that people often want to put God in a box. They want to put Charlie also in a box in a lot of ways. They want to say he's a conservative leader, he's a speaker, he's a pundit, he's a debater. But really, most importantly, Charlie Kirk is a child of God, and that's what he would say. And that's what I think we need to be representing on that day, that we are true to the faith that he had in Jesus Christ and has in Jesus Christ. I mean, he's with the Father now, and thank God for that. And that he held high, and we want to make sure that that is made known as we mourn. But also, as Christians, we rejoice in the fact, knowing that he is, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, that he is with God in heaven now. And I think that's a comfort to his wife, Erica. I listened to her at the memorial, and will be to his daughters. But overall, I think that's what I would say is faith. That is, because the idea that our governments can govern apart from God in a good way it's a lie. It can't be done. And in Canada, we need more of that. We have a Christian heritage here in Canada. Those are our roots, and that's why this country has been blessed in so many ways, and why, by God's grace, it continues to this day, because we have strayed far from what God desires for our nation. And thank God you guys in a lot of ways are, we go through the cycle, right? You're back on track right now in a lot of good, in some ways, right? There are good things happening. And in our country, we need to get back on track. And I'm, happy to say that. And I have absolutely no hesitation in saying so, because we're in trouble right now. Yeah. And, like we talked yesterday about our education system and all the rest of it, things that I've been involved with, that, we need to right that ship.
Yeah. If to those listening here on the Detroit side, what should they know about start time, flow, and how to participate respectfully from across the water?
Yeah. So the event itself is 7 p.m. Tuesday, September 30th at Dieppe Gardens at the Windsor Riverfront for us on our side. The idea is to have it in unison with Hart Plaza, Detroit. And we just asked, it's probably a good idea to arrive early, bring a chair, and then the weather's supposed to be nice and clear. But there's parking in that area down by the river, and there's also parking areas nearby that are within walking distance. But we're going to basically that day we will be having, I'll be the speaker and MC, and then we will have multiple speakers. Yeah. And they'll be singing, and we may even be having a choir, as I understand. And we're gonna do it upright. And
altar call?
What's that?
Will there be an altar call for people to come to faith?
I mean, in effect, yes. I mean, the idea here is to honor Charlie Kirk. We need to honor him not in the way that we necessarily perceive him, like I said, as he's a conservative leader, a speaker, a pundit, a debater, is that he would say himself that, he's a child of God, and that it was his faith that matters to him most. And that needs to be held high at this vigil. And I think people understand that, Christian, non-Christian alike. There are people out there who I've spoken to, they're cultural Christians. They appreciate what we stand for. And I think people will understand why that's how we want to honor Charlie.
All right, Jay Palko, two final questions. What are your guidelines for media on site? Where should cameras be? How can they cover this vigil without intruding on the moment?
Oh, a great question. Yeah, we do, like I would always say to media, if I was getting an interview and in my activities politically or with advocacy, I would always say, number one, please be accurate and in context, and otherwise, we're not going to have more to talk about. But I'm just speaking to our Canadian media right now. Yeah. But as far as them being there present, they are, welcome in that area. There are areas there are sidewalks in the area we're going to be. There's a green space, and there's a platform that we'll be speaking from. But there are sidewalks on either side where they could probably set up cameras. And they've done it before. They've been there before. So our different channels will most likely be there. CBC, CTV. We'll see what happens. You never know. Of course, sometimes they want to downplay. We've had that happen before when we did a March for Kids.
Yeah. And I hope that there are thousands that show up on both sides. Final question, Jay Palko. what items should attendees avoid bringing? Like, what should every attendee bring? Candle, lighter, small flag, or any sign guidelines?
Oh, well, I mean, we're having this to honor Charlie Kirk, so we're asking that people not bring anything that would, be disrespectful or disparage him in any way. You can disagree with the man, but there's no reason to, in any way, publicly malign him, especially when we're having his vigil. So we do pray that people will keep that in mind and that they will understand that that's the type of event that we're having. But as far as bringing flags, wearing certain shirts, things that are positive, we're going to say, and hopeful and encouraging. We're going to have some T-shirts there ourselves that are being made up for the event. But yeah, people can, do as they please. We just ask that people, take care of what they bring, and we'll pick up after ourselves when we're done. And yeah, we don't really have any restrictions. Obviously, we're not leave your weapons at home. I don't know. I'm not sure what to say, but in terms of that, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
I do.
So
yeah, just if people come as you are. I'd say I treat it like church.
Yeah.
You're come as you are, but by all means, keep in mind what this event is and why we're gathering.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to my good friend Vance Patrick after the show. Try to get him to get some people, either to the Detroit side or to head over to Windsor, Ontario. But give the listeners this 30-second invite for the Windsor, the date, time, exact location, and also where they can find you guys on social media.
Okay, great. Yeah, so you can. The event itself is it'll be a Charlie Kirk International Vigil at is Windsor, Detroit, and Windsor will be at the Dieppe Gardens Riverfront in Detroit. The plan is to have it be in unison with them and at Hart Plaza, and so we'll be. It's right near the Canadian flag, and we just ask that people come, show up, bring a chair. The weather's supposed to be nice and clear, and you can find more information. Turning Point Windsor, and on Facebook, I think would be the best spot to go. But by all means, you can also email Sherry Jones. So that's SherriJones 70 at hotmail.com. And and we're out there. We're definitely distributing the notice and the flyer to let people know. But all are welcome. We just ask that people be respectful and peaceful, and know that we are there to mourn and rejoice and remember a life well lived in Charlie Kirk.
Well, Jay, Palko, I want to thank you for doing this first and foremost, and I pray that it is a successful event. I pray that it is a peaceful event, and I look forward to creating partnerships and us doing some things together as well. Thank you so much, Jay, for joining us on Detroit's Morning Answer.
Thank you, John, for having me.
I'll give you a call when I'm done later today, if that works.
Works for me.
All right, thank you so much. That's Jay Palko, Turning Point Windsor, Turning Point, or Turning Point Windsor. Hopefully, you guys can make it out to that event. I think it's well worth. I wish I was going to be here. I definitely I'd show up to both. I really would. I'd travel. So thanks so much for joining us, Jay.
Thank you, John.
All right, guys. Wow. Paul, that's pretty good, isn't it? Isn't it?
That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just to think, freedom, man. I love freedom. I love this country. Paul, you know what time it is, my brother. You're sleeping, Paul. That means it's Friday. I truly have enjoyed doing the show. I enjoyed hanging out with the people of Livonia on last night. My good buddy Vance Patrick, who I did say how great of a person you are yesterday, Vance Patrick. But guys, we got to continue to fight for the greatness of this country, because we truly are a great country. Thank you so much for joining us today. You know, these conversations remind us that truth still matters. Freedom is always worth defending. And leadership requires courage when it's most costly. Stay engaged, stay informed, and never forget we're stronger when we stand together. Until next time, keep the faith, keep fighting for freedom, and never settle for silence. We'll see you bright and early, Monday morning at 7 a.m. I won't be in on Black and White Radio tomorrow. I got an event that I'm headed to with Eric Kramer, former Bear, former Detroit Lion. We out!
America, sweet America.
Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. How do we cover that? That had to have been the topic on the table of most newsrooms on Monday morning following the memorial service for my colleague Charlie Kirk on Sunday. Much of postmodern media simply lacks basic fluency in the language used and the truth claims affirmed by the speakers. Erica Kirk made a heartbreaking, deeply moving public forgiveness of her husband's assassin, modeling the words of the first Christian martyr, Stephen, as he prayed for his persecutors. I expect most news organizations to continue to flee the scene or force the Christian memorial into a political moment. But the real story, the enduring story, is one that Christians routinely refer to as the greatest story ever told,